Then the next sutta is 4.7.70. The Buddha said, at such time monks, as rajas are unrighteous or unjust, the ministers of rajas also are unrighteous. When ministers are unrighteous, Brahmins and householders also are unrighteous. Thus, townsfolk and villages are unrighteous. This being so, moon and sun go wrong in their courses. This being so, constellation and stars do likewise. Days and nights, months and fortnights, seasons and years are out of joint. The winds blow wrong, out of season. Thus the devas are annoyed. This being so, the sky deva bestows not sufficient rain. Rains not falling seasonably, the crops ripen in wrong season. Monks, when crops ripen in wrong season, men who live on such crops are short-lived, ill-favored, weak and sickly. But monks, when rajas are righteous, the ministers of rajas also are righteous. When ministers are righteous, Brahmins and householders also are righteous. Thus townsfolk and villages are righteous. This being so, moon and sun go right in their courses. This being so, constellations and stars do likewise. Days and nights, months and fortnights, seasons and years go on their courses regularly. Winds blow regularly and in due season. Thus the devas are not annoyed, and the sky deva bestows sufficient rain. Rains falling seasonably, the crops ripen in due season. Monks, when crops ripen in due season, men who live on those crops are long-lived, well-favored, strong and free from sickness. That's the end of the sutta. So this sutta is saying that leaders are very important. Here is rajas. Rajas means kings. In those times we had kings. But nowadays it would be government leaders, etc. And because the actions of leaders influence those below them. And in our religion it's also the same. The leaders of our religions are our monks. So if monks set a good example, then our religion will do well. But if monks set a bad example, just like a leader, then people are discouraged, people are disappointed and they don't come to the temples, etc. And then our sasana, our religion will suffer. That's why it's very important for monks and government leaders, etc. to set a good example. And the reason why people go on the wrong course is because of greed, hatred and delusion. If we succumb to greed, hatred and delusion, then we do wrong things. And because of our wrong actions, the devas, they are annoyed. When the devas are annoyed, they don't give rain when it's supposed to rain. And we can compare this sutta with another sutta which I had read some time ago about the population of the earth being very great a long time ago. And then the Buddha said now it's people are very much less than before because of several reasons. One is because of greed, hatred and delusion. People fight and kill each other, so the population decreased. Another one is the devas are annoyed because of the greed, hatred and delusion of human beings. They don't give rain at the proper time. And because of that, there is famine, there is starvation. So people, the population of people decrease. Another one that they had read earlier was sometimes the devas, they can let go very fierce yakas, very fierce demons that can kill human beings. And it's only because human beings are walking the good path, greed, hatred and delusion is not so great, that these higher devas, they protect us, they hold back these fierce demons, fierce yakas. But when we are too much, then they let them go and we will have to suffer. Once monks, there was a wheel-turning monarch named Dalhanemi, a righteous monarch of the law, maybe the Dhamma,
conqueror of the four quarters, who had established the security of his realm and was possessed of the 7 treasures. These are the wheel treasure, elephant treasure, horse treasure, jewel treasure, woman treasure, householder treasure, and a 7th, the counselor treasure. He has more than 1,000 sons who are heroes of heroic stature, conquerors of the hostile army. He dwells, having conquered this sea-girt land without stick or sword, by the law or Dhamma, etc., as in Sutta 3, verse 1.5. And after many hundreds and thousands of years, King Dalhanemi said to a certain man, "My good man, whenever you see that the sacred wheel treasure has slipped from its position, report it to me." "Yes, sire," the man replied. And after many hundreds and thousands of years, the man saw that the sacred wheel treasure had slipped from its position. Seeing this, he reported the fact to the king. Then King Dalhanemi sent for his eldest son, the crown prince, and said, "My son, the sacred wheel treasure has slipped from its position. And I have heard say that when this happens to a wheel-turning monarch, he has not much longer to live. I have had my fill of human pleasures. Now is the time to seek heavenly pleasures. You, my son, take over control of this ocean-bounded land. I will shave off my hair and beard, don yellow robes, and go forth from the household life into homelessness." And having installed his eldest son in due form as king, King Dalhanemi shaved off his hair and beard, donned yellow robes, and went forth from the household life into homelessness. And 7 days after the royal sage had gone forth, the sacred wheel treasure vanished. Then a certain man came to the anointed Katya king and said, "Sire, you should know that the sacred wheel treasure has disappeared." At this the king was grieved and felt sad. He went to the royal sage and told him the news. And the royal sage said to him, "My son, you should not grieve or feel sad at the disappearance of the wheel treasure. The wheel treasure is not an heirloom from your fathers. But now, my son, you must turn yourself into an Aryan wheel turner. And then it may come about that if you perform the duties of an Aryan wheel turning monarch, on the fast day of the 15th, when you have washed your head and gone up to the veranda on top of your palace for the fast day, the sacred wheel treasure will appear to you, 1,000 spoked, complete with fellow hub and all appurtenances." And he asked, "But what, sire, is the duty of an Aryan wheel turning monarch?" And the royal sage or chaplain said, "It is this, my son, yourself depending on the Dhamma, honoring it, revering it, cherishing it, doing homage to it, and venerating it, having the Dhamma as your badge and banner, acknowledging the Dhamma as your master. You should establish guard, ward, and protection according to Dhamma for your household, your troops, your nobles and vassals, for Brahmins and householders, town and country folk, ascetics and Brahmins, for beasts and birds. Let no crime prevail in your kingdom, and to those who are in need, give property. And whatever ascetics and Brahmins in your kingdom have renounced the life of sensual infatuation and are devoted to forbearance and gentleness, each one taming himself, each one calming himself, each one striving for the end of craving. From time to time we should go to them and consult them as to what is wholesome and what is unwholesome, that what is blameworthy and what is blameless, what is to be followed and what is not to be followed, and what action will in the long run lead to harm and sorrow, and what to welfare and happiness. Having listened to them, you should avoid evil and do what is good. That, my son, is the duty of an Aryan wheel-turning monarch." Stop here for a moment. This part also quite interesting. He's telling this new king that he have to conduct himself like a wheel-turning monarch. Then the wheel will appear. And how to do it? Have to use the Dhamma as the guide. Using Dhamma to protect all the people, and even including animals. And then those who are in need, give them whatever they need, so that they don't have to steal and kill and all that. And then to seek advice from ascetics and Brahmins who have renounced the life of sensual infatuation. That's a real monk, a real recluse, a real ascetic, is one who has renounced the life of sensual infatuation and then devoted to forbearance and gentleness, striving for the end of grieving. Only those type of ascetics or monks are worthy of being teachers, worthy of being a guide to the king. So then this chaplain told him to listen to such real recluses, ascetics. Yes, sire, said the king. And he performed the duties of an Aryan wheel-turning monarch. And as he did so, on the fast day of the 15th, that means the full moon day, when he had washed his head and gone up to the veranda on top of his palace for the fast day, the sacred wheel treasure appeared to him, 1,000-spoked, complete with fellow hub and all appurtenances. Then the king thought, I have heard that when a duly anointed Katya king sees such a wheel on the fast day of the 15th, he will become a wheel-turning monarch. May I become such a monarch. Then rising from his seat, covering one shoulder with his robe, the king took a gold vessel in his left hand, sprinkled the wheel with his right hand, and said, May the noble wheel treasure turn. May the noble wheel treasure conquer. The wheel turned to the east, and the king followed it with his fourfold army. And in whatever country the wheel stopped, the king took up residence with his fourfold army. And those who opposed him in the eastern region came and said, Come, your majesty, welcome. We are yours, your majesty. Rulers, your majesty. And the king said, Do not take life. Do not take what is not given. Do not commit sexual misconduct. Do not tell lies. Do not drink strong drink. Be moderate in eating. And those who had opposed him in the eastern region became his subjects. Then the wheel turned south, and similarly, the same thing happened in west and north. Then the wheel treasure, having conquered the lands from sea to sea, returned to the royal capital and stopped before the king's palace as he was trying a case, as if to adorn the royal palace.